Hello, my name is Joe Hayes. I'm a policy researcher at PPIC, and I'm going to talk today about the adult correctional system in California. First, I'll discuss a few trends taking shape over the past 30 years. I'll briefly outline some of the problems that emerged during that time and the dramatic policy reform that they helped catalyze, and I'll describe the ongoing realignment process designed to address those problems. Recent decades saw phenomenal growth in the prison population. Strict sentencing laws and a prison construction boom contributed to a seven-fold increase in prisoner numbers between 1980 and 2005. During the 80s, the number of adult institutions in California increased from 12 to 33, but the prisoner population continued to grow well beyond that time, reaching a peak of over 172,000 in 2006. At that time, the institutional population was at nearly 200% of design capacity. Those overcrowded conditions had serious implications for the state's ability to provide rehabilitative programs and health care. A lawsuit charging the state with grossly inadequate health care provision concluded in a U.S. Supreme Court decision in 2011 ordering the state to bring its prisoner population more in line with capacity in 2 years. Assembly Bill 109, signed by Governor Brown that spring, outlines the state's plan for complying with that order. Its implementation began on October 1st, 2011, and the plan has three main thrusts: new felons, parole violators, and community re-entry. First, persons convicted of a subset of felonies deemed non-serious, non-violent, non-sexual will be sent to county jurisdiction instead of to state prison. Second, those prisoners who violate the terms of their parole after being released from state prison will go to county jail instead of returning to prison. And third, the counties themselves will take responsibility for the parole of low-level offenders in a program called post-release community supervision. Now, in choosing how to implement these various responsibilities, counties have significant discretion. AB 109's stated intent is that counties increase their use of alternative sanctions and social services to manage this population. And these may include home detention with GPS monitoring bracelets, day reporting centers, drug treatment, or community-based residential programs, among others. But many counties are also planning to expand their jail capacity to incarcerate new offenders. Realignment's impact on state prisons is already becoming evident. The population has dropped 14% in the first 6 months of its implementation. But what's likely to happen locally as responsibility shifts to the counties? I'll briefly discuss three issues: recidivism, overcrowding, and the courts. California's recidivism rate has long been among the nation's highest. Close to 2/3 of offenders return to prison within 3 years of being released to parole. Now, most of these returns are for technical violations rather than for a conviction of a new crime. And under realignment, the recidivism rate will almost certainly drop because these parole violators will go to the counties rather than returning to prison. But it remains to be seen whether they will successfully reintegrate into their communities or simply cycle through county-administered jails and rehabilitative programs. If overcrowding in state prisons is simply converted into overcrowding in county jails, which are typically less suited to long-term stays, then the average prisoner's conditions of confinement and prospects for rehabilitation will not improve. As noted earlier, one of the safety valves available to counties is expanding jail capacity. Another is the use of alternatives to incarceration. County officials might alter their approach to prosecution and sentencing in hopes of sending more offenders to prison instead of to county jail. Where possible, district attorneys may choose to bring more serious charges. Prosecutors may opt to charge rearrested parolees with a new crime rather than a technical violation of parole. And alternatively, judges may opt for lighter sentences to keep offenders in local custody for less time. Realignment's prospects for success depend in part on public support for funding the county's efforts and on an ongoing evaluation of its effectiveness. Californians do recognize overcrowding as a problem. In 2007, 80% of respondents to PPIC's statewide survey said that prison overcrowding was either a big problem or somewhat of a problem. And nearly 2/3 supported financing a package to ease overcrowding and promote rehabilitation. However, statewide survey respondents over the last 10 years have also consistently expressed reluctance to protect corrections from spending cuts. So Governor Brown has put a measure on the November 2012 ballot that would provide a constitutional guarantee of corrections realignment funding in the future. AB 109 does not fund or even require the evaluation of county practices, so there's currently no systematic way to measure their performance. This is significant because realignment affects public safety in each of the 58 counties, making it a concern of every California resident. Recently, interested county officials and corrections researchers have begun meeting to discuss strategies for evaluating county policies. However, a successful public safety realignment will likely require a coordinated evaluative effort with widespread county participation and data collection, and clearly defined objectives. Thank you for listening.